My next guest is an intimacy coach. Not just an intimacy coach, but an intimacy coach to the stars. She works with Gwyneth Paltrow and Will Smith, to name just a couple. She's here tonight to give us some relationship tips, ladies and gentlemen. Will you please welcome Michaela Boehm. They're all ears, Michaela. They're all ears.
Okay.
Right. First of all, tell us what an intimacy coach does.
Well, an intimacy coach works with anyone who wants to increase depth in their relationship. So that could be with your intimate partner, children, even in business. So I specialize in helping people connect better.
Aha. Now, what do people come to you? What's the biggest problem that people come to you? The most common one?
The most common one is relationship, of course, so marriage or intimate relationship. And there's two different kinds. There's people who are no longer having the same goals or the same values, right? And there's issues of communication and things have gone off the rails. That's one big area where you just are no longer seeing eye to eye. And then the other one is the spark has gone. Right, it was incredible in the beginning, and then things start happening, and eventually the relationship might be quite good, but the kind of sexy attraction is gone.
Okay. Which is the easiest to fix of those two?
The attraction. Because the attraction is almost like physics. You can learn how to pull apart again, and then that allows the attraction to start again. When people have actual relationship issues, they have to really work on getting on the same page. That takes a lot longer. And sometimes there is what they call in a divorce court irreconcilable differences.
Yeah.
So the attraction part's fairly easy because sameness, meaning what makes a relationship actually good, is what makes the attraction go away. That's the bad news.
Right. Now, these people want to know, and people want to know as well watching at home, do you know that Michaela charges $450 an hour? Right. So I'll be collecting on the way out for this advice. Okay, so the spark then. What are your tips to get the spark back into a relationship?
Well, the thing to know about the spark is that you sometimes hear people say opposites attract, and birds of a feather flock together,
yes.
right? Birds of a feather flock together is what makes a relationship good, right, because it's the sameness. Opposite attracts makes the spark, makes the sexiness.
Okay, so tell us
happen.
how we get the spark back.
So you have to be opposite. You have to be different. And so what happens with couples is they become more and more and more the same. In America, I sometimes joke, I live in America, that, you know, they suddenly have the same tracksuits and they're driving in their little Winnebago, and it's all very nice and all the same hairstyle, same everything, but no more spark. So you have to create opposition. And how you do that is you become interesting to each other again, which is not that easy sometimes when you do everything together all the time. Right?
So spend time apart.
Spend time apart. Not a lot, and most people do it. They go out with their friends, or they have separate hobbies, but that's really, really important. Or even reading things that you can report to your partner at home as something fresh. So freshness is really the key. That's why people go to, you know, a hotel, or they go on a vacation and suddenly the spark is back. It's because it's fresh.
Yes. Oftentimes when you talk to people like you, they talk about freshening up the bedroom. You know,
yes,
experimental, more exciting, don't do the same old things.
Might that be so easy? Often people don't want to get into the bedroom anymore because they're just bored with each other, and it's always the same old, same old. And one of the things that happens is that people start touching all the time. You know, there's this constant, you know, casual touching and constant casual pecking on the cheek, and you rub up against each other in the hallway, and there's no more. That's not good.
Oh, that's not good, ladies and gentlemen. That's not good.
It's good for the relational aspect.
Yes.
It's not good for the spark. So if you don't want the spark, you can touch as much as you want. But if you want the spark,
you have this conscious touching exercise.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Okay.
Yes. So if you really want to play around with having your partner be fresh to you again is stop touching for a moment.
Right.
And
I know what you're talking about. You know, Jim's great.
yes,
Jim's great.
And you
yeah,
essentially
all of that.
touch
Yes,
Jim
you're
like,
nearly patting him
exactly,
on.
like a dog.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Or
That's
a
not
cat.
good. That's not good.
It's not.
Now that you say it, I realise it's not good.
Yeah, and it's like little Timmy or so,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so,
isn't he great?
yeah,
Look at him. Yeah,
exactly.
That's not good.
And so then what happens in the body, because this is the body we're talking about, we do sex and relationship with the body becomes numb to the touch. Because it happens all the time. And so that's why when you first kiss someone, it's so incredible, right? And then, so right? So it's very, very logical. You just stop doing it for a moment.
Okay, the conscious touching then.
Yes.
So then you introduce
yes.
the conscious touching.
And then you touch consciously. So you don't just pat. You think about, let's say you have an evening where no one's around and it's just the two of you.
A date night.
A date night.
Yes, yeah.
But it's an odd term. But,
why is that an odd term?
Well, because there's so much riding on it. Right?
Oh yes, yeah,
right?
a lot of pressure.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
Yes,
now you have to. Now you made the reservation. You got dressed up, and if we're really honest, who wants to get romantic after a heavy meal?
That's a bad idea.
Right?
You're right.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So date night is not really what works, but having time together and spending time together is really important. So you could just sit on a couch like this across from each other, maybe feet up on the couch, fresh socks, very important.
See, that's important. You wouldn't think so. Smelling socks isn't going to do it. It's not going to do it. It's a real turn off.
And then start touching your partner consciously, meaning you want to touch them.
Which not your good hand. So if you're right-handed, I read this. If you're right-handed, you touch with the left hand.
Yes, sometimes it's very interesting to use the non-dominant hand.
See,
Because it's fresh.
Yes,
right?
of course, it's fresh.
It's fresh. It's not the same old.
Yes.
And so for neuroplasticity and the brain and how the body reacts, sometimes if you just use your non-dominant hand.
I think they have the hang of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, living apart, I mentioned already.
Yes.
And did you advise Gwyneth Paltrow and her husband Brad to live apart after they got married?
It has been said so, yes.
Yes, well, we'll take that as a yes. Okay. Right. And did it work out for them?
I don't know. You have to ask them. I never talk about my clients.
Okay.
So ever. But I will say that I have and will on occasion tell people to live apart, but that's a very, very specific thing. It's not good for everyone under all circumstances. So for instance, if you have a large blended family, right, children from different marriages, different partners who are still involved with the children from the different marriages, it can be good to blend the families.
And of course, if you can afford it.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about Gwyneth's conscious uncoupling?
That's not my term.
Oh, that's not your... Oh,
that is not my term. That I have nothing to do with that.
Right.
I do, however, really believe that people should make a real effort to maintain friendliness.
Yes,
right?
for the sake
of the children.
Yes,
but also, how can you go and love somebody that much that you marry them and you throw in together and then, 5, 10, 15 years later, you hate each other so much that you make your life miserable.
Do you think, like in 2019 with Instagram and all the social media platforms, that people have too high an expectation of relationships?
Most definitely. I think what we get to see and also what's sold isn't really true. When you look at how many people get divorced, when you look at how many people cheat or do other things that are considered in that domain, we're definitely having unrealistic expectations. And also, I think one of the things I've learned, I've been doing this for, 26 years. I've done over 30,000 client hours. No two relationships are the same. And when you try to live up to an unrealistic standard, any society, religion, Instagram, Facebook,
you're going to be disappointed.
It doesn't work.
Who takes advice better, men or women?
Men and women take advice very different. So men will usually want to understand what they need to do, and then they do it. Super simple. And then they come back and go, okay, this worked, this didn't work. Women need to be emotionally involved in the decision to change. So it takes a bit longer, and it has to have a real kind of emotional pull to do it. But then most people actually just get on with it, because everyone wants a good relationship.
There must be a lot of pressure on your relationships because you do what you do, is there?
There is, but my relationship is completely off limit. I never talk about it.
I don't know. I'm just making a comment there that it must be, because people would expect an awful lot from your relationship.
Yes, but that's why I'm saying it's off limits, because I don't think what I do is important to anyone else. I help each person individually on their relationship. And mine has changed vastly over the 20 years that I've known my husband. And it's constantly evolving. And so what is good today might not be good 2 months from now.
Fascinating conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So I reckon that's about €50 each for that advice, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Michaela Boehm, there you are.